Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a brand new Shadow Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Shadow THROH. THROH is a pure fighting type Pokemon with the fast move of either Low Kick or Zen Headbutt, and the charge moves of Body Slam and Focus Blast. As you can see from that choice of fast move, THROH is an absolutely terrible Pokemon. Nevertheless, I wanted to test it out, and this video will chronicle my slow descent into madness as I try and win with Shadow THROH. So without further ado, let's up for the matches and check out Shadow THROH in action in the Monotype Cup. Hopping to the first match, picking up a very nice lead, Lickitung into Shadow Granbull. Considering I have two fighters in the back, this is absolutely where I want to see Granbull. They're staying in, so I'm going to strike first and go for the Body Slam. Body Slam will grab a shield from the Granbull. I continue to farm with the Lickitung. Opponent save switches into Shadow Dragonair, and I have a great response available with Shadow Machamp. Shadow Machamp does do quite well versus Dragonair. As you can see, I should be able to shield and then actually commit to the farm down here and leave with so much loaded energy to threaten whatever my opponent decides to send in. If they send in the Granbull, I'm just going for the payback here. It's resisted, but it's going to do quite a lot of damage. My opponent will commit the shield, and now I can send back in Lickitung. Lickitung is going to commit the shield here because I have to make sure that I get rid of the Granbull. They close combat, they're staying in, just trying to get as much charm damage as they possibly can. I'm looking to leave with some energy and fire off the Body Slam. Down goes Granbull, in the back it's Haxorus, and wait, this game is actually winnable. If you get their Pokemon to about half HP, then THROH can actually do something. As you're going to see, Low Kick is a terrible fast move. They go for the Breaking Swipe. It does not charge energy very quickly, but if the Pokemon starts at about half HP, then Shadow THROH will be able to KO the Haxorus and secure the win. We see mirror leads in the next match, Lickitung versus Lickitung. Typically, Lickitung is accompanied with two fighters in the back, and if that's the case, then I'm going to want to farm up a ton of energy on my Lickitung. Body Slam doesn't do a lot in the Lickitung mirror, but the Body Slams will do a lot more damage to the fighters that I'm expecting will be in the back. I'm going to tank a Body Slam, save switch into Shadow THROH, opponent staying in this matchup and going for the Body Slam. I'm going to let this through, Body Slam into the Shadow THROH will connect. I continue to farm, and they make another Body Slam. As you can see, Low Kick just generates energy incredibly slowly, and we see the first of the fighters. In comes Sirfetch'd. I'm firing off a Body Slam. Body Slam will be no-shielded. That does quite a lot of damage to the glassy Sirfetch'd. And here is where having all that energy on Lickitung will be incredibly helpful, as I can fire off the Body Slam. They're going to let that through, and they get KO'd. In the back, they have a fighter. It looks like that was a Shadow Machamp. Body Slam gets the shield. Now we have a battle of Machamps, and I have a win con here. If I can counter down and leave with double cross chops, then I think I can actually win this game. Machamp looking for the farm down, gets the farm down, leaving with the cross chops, but I get sniped with a lick. I lose all that energy, and I concede the match. We see a terrible lead in the next match, Lickitung into Shadow Machamp. I save switch into Shadow THROH. As you can see, these counters are doing quite a lot of damage to the Shadow THROH, and the Low Kicks aren't really doing much of anything to the Machamp in return. I'm able to make it to a Body Slam with a sliver of HP remaining. Body Slam will get the shield, and Machamp counters down and leaves with energy. Now I'm going to send in my own Shadow Machamp. I'm looking for the one shield farm down play here to leave with energy to take on their backline. My Machamp will get the counter down. I leave with energy. Opponent sends in a Vigoroth. They must be so weak to fighting in the back. Maybe this is actually winnable. Cross Chop gets the shield. I win CMP over the Vigoroth with Shadow Machamp. This Cross Chop will KO. What is that final Pokemon? It is revealed to be Umbreon. I'm looking to farm up as much as possible, then go for the Cross Chop, but the Snarl registers. I'm supposed to get new mechanic there and get the move off, but unfortunately, the Snarl ends up KOing, and now I'm in a bit of a rough spot. Honestly, I should have just thrown the Cross Chop sooner. I was just trying to maximize as many counters as possible, and now I need my Lickitung up a shield to do the impossible and get rid of an Umbreon. I'm firing off a Body Slam. That's going to connect. Unfortunately, a second Body Slam will be non-lethal here, so I think I have to go for the Power Whip, which will do more damage. Foul Play connects, I continue to farm, and I make it to the Power Whip. I believe this will be enough to KO. Power Whip barely does not, but the licks after do, and somehow, against all odds, we get the win. We see another tough lead in the next match, Lickitung into Shadow Donphan. Shadow Donphan is honestly a problem for this entire team. Donphan is going to strike first, going for the body slam. That does quite a lot of damage, and I'm going to return fire with a body slam of my own. I'm hoping that my opponent is going to no shield since it's not enough for the power whip, but my opponent sees through my plan and they will shield up the body slam anyway. Donphan, not the tankiest Pokemon around, but it outputs a lot of damage. Body Slam connects, getting the throw low. I am able to hang on and make it to a Body Slam of my own. Body Slam into the Donphan, will be shielded. Opponent going down 2 shields, but they've kept switch advantage, and they have quite a bit of energy on the Donphan. I'm now going to be sending in the Shadow Machamp, and I just need Shadow Machamp to sweep here. I will commit the shield. The counter went through, so they're not getting any extra moves on the Donphan. They have a Kanto Muck in the back. I'm farming up and going for the payback here. Really hoping this will be able to one-shot. Payback, gets them low, switch into the Lickitung to get the catch. And that is fantastic. Thunder Punch connects in the back. It's an Umbreon. And that catch just lost me the game. Oh no. Had I stayed in with the Machamp and shielded, my Machamp could have made it to a cross chop versus the Umbreon, and that could have potentially won me the game. But since I gave up switch, my opponent now sees their win con. They're going to fully snarl down the Lickitung, and they leave with too much energy on the Umbreon here. Umbreon KOs with a last resort as we lose a heartbreaking game. Hopping into the next match, we see a Nightmare lead Lickitung into Umbreon. I save switch into Shadow Throh, now running Zen Headbutt, and my opponent is going to respond with a Shadow Kanto Grimer. Now Grimer is taking super effective damage from the Zen Headbutts, so maybe I can make a play for switch. I ran low kick for a bit, but honestly, it was doing absolutely nothing for me, so I figured, what's the harm in switching to the other terrible fast move that it has? They're firing off a charge move, I will commit the shield, and I'm going to try and make a play for switch here, looking for the farm down, and I get it. Opponent sends back in the Umbreon. Umbreon over farming, will they let me get to the Focus Blast? They do! Come on, please, this is all I have ever wanted. Focus Blast, big damage onto the Umbreon, and we snipe with the Shadow Machamp. In comes a Kanto Muck in the back, but it's just too little too late for my opponent. Cross chop into the Muck, gets shielded, and the opponent concedes the match. We see a favorable lead in the next match, Lickitung into Shadow Kanto Muck. Lickitung wins this just purely based off of bulk. It is a lot bulkier than Muck. Opponent goes for a catch onto Umbreon. I'm able to hang on to my energy and send in Shadow Machamp. In case my opponent does have Psychic, I will shield up here. My opponent is running Last Resort, however, and that means I should be able to fully counter down and leave with 100 energy. My goal is just to leave with a ton of energy, because hopefully I can deal some massive damage to the Muck, or potentially get the shield back. I have a tough call to make here. Do I bait with the cross chop, or do I full send the payback? Opponent sends in the Muck. I decide to full send the payback here. Payback, get shielded by the Muck. I try and make it to another payback, but that's not going to happen. I should have just thrown the cross chop there, because even resisted damage is helpful. Thunder Punch will connect in the back. It's a Vigoroth, and this is actually terrible for me. They baited out the Machamp, and THROH is now running Zen Headbutt, which means it is terrible against Vigoroth. They go for the body slam. Look how slow Zen Headbutt charges. I'm committing the shield here on the body slam. Technically, I had double fighter into double weak to fighter, but I'm going to lose this game. Body slam gets shielded. I'm not making another move. Fortunately, my opponent thinks that I'm going to make a move because they are not aware of how terrible Zen Headbutt is, so they will throw their energy, but unfortunately, it's still just not going to be enough to save me here. I need, I think, 4 body slams to win this game, and I'm just not getting that amount of energy. I overfarm as much as I possibly can versus the Vigoroth, KO with the body slam. In comes the Muck, and Muck has the energy it needs. Muck makes the Thunder Punch, KOs the Lickitung, and that's game over. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Lickitung into Shadow Donphan. Last time I played against the Donphan team, I was not able to win. This time, I'm looking for a bit of redemption. They're going to fire off a body slam as soon as they get there. I'm going to tank it and return fire with a body slam of my own. Again, hoping my opponent will no shield here, but they will respect it and shield the Donphan. I'm going to send in my throw, and my opponent is going to respond with Grimer. So Grimer taking super effective damage from the Zen Headbutt. They go for the Mud Bomb, and Mud Bomb will honestly add up quite a bit on the Shadow Throw. I'm firing off the Body Slam. Body Slam is going to connect onto the Grimer. Can I Zen Headbutt down? I cannot, but my opponent will fire off energy. That works perfectly for me. I'm more than happy to let that through, and now just send in Lickitung to get energy. Unfortunately, I did not wait my clock, so I'm still switch locked in here. My opponent sends in Donphan, which is a bit surprising, because if they are running the team with Umbreon in the back, ideally they would want to send in Umbreon there. And that's because if there's a Lickitung and a fighter, you can typically expect a second fighter in the back, and by not aligning the Umbreon onto the Lickitung, they're now in a difficult spot where Donphan threw its energy, and now Shadow Machamp is about to sweep in the endgame. I'm able to grab a shield with the first cross chop, no shields remaining for my opponent, so the second cross chop lands, and it's just too little too late for the Umbreon. Shadow Machamp, now that the poison type is out of the way, sweeping the endgame. And that's a good game. We see a neutral lead in the next match, Lickitung into Shadow Dragonair. I am going to stay in this matchup to start. I do want to fire off a Body Slam before I eventually save switch out of here into the Shadow Throw. They're going to strike first, going for the Body Slam, and you know what? I'm going to return the favor. I'm going for a Body Slam of my own here. Let's see what my opponent wants to do. They will shield up the Shadow Dragonair. I send in Throw. My opponent now sends in Cofagrigus. I did need to bait this out, as Cofagrigus does very well versus Machamp, even if I am running Payback. They fire off a Psychic, and that hits for massive super effective damage. So my opponent running a bit of a spicy moveset there on the Cofagrigus. Instead of the typical Dark Pulse and Shadow Ball, they are running Psychic as their coverage move. I'm looking to farm up with the Lickitung and throw just before they make it to their next Psychic. Power Whip will be lethal from this health range, and now hopefully Machamp can sweep in the back. It is an Umbreon as their final Pokemon. I fire off the Body Slam just to burn the clock and send in Shadow Machamp. Opponent brings in the Dragonair. Dragonair is going to be able to grab my final shield here, so I will commit the shield, and I'm just committing to the farm down. I do get the farm down. Opponent sends back in the Umbreon, and I'm at the back-to-back cross chops here. Shadow Machamp putting in so much work as a closer in this Monotype Cup format. I'm making it to cross chop number 2. This will hit for big super effective damage onto the Umbreon. Umbreon add a lot of energy here. They're firing off a charge move. Last Resort will KO. In comes the Lickitung. Lickitung has to make it to the charge move, but I'm not able to get there. Can I tank a foul play here? Foul play will not KO. Lickitung dies with the move, and that's game over. We see a tough lead in the next match, Lickitung into Double. I'm going to save switch into Shadow Throw. My opponent is going to bank energy and then send in Cofagrigus. I did need to bait out the Coffin, but man, this is just absolutely awful for me in this game. They go for the Shadow Ball, that's going to KO. But as you can see, like Throw, I mean, it baited out the Coffin, but the Coffin is still 75% HP, and it's not like I was able to grab a shield or anything. Throw just really not doing what I need it to do. They fire off the Dark Pulse. I'm going to let that through. I'm looking to farm up and then go for the Power Whip just to try and get rid of the Coffin, and hopefully they're ABA weak to counter now that I've baited out the Cofagrigus. My opponent is going to be sending in the Double. I'm just going to wait for them to throw energy. My goal is hopefully they can throw energy and then I can just send in the Machamp, and hopefully Machamp can sweep in the end game. Basically, almost every game I've won so far with this team has been courtesy of Shadow Machamp sweeping, so hopefully Machamp can do it one more time. In the back, they have a Shadow Kanto Muck, and unfortunately, there's just no win count here. I can full send the Payback and hope, but they shield, and I resign the match. Hopping to the final match, leading Lickitung into Lickitung, a mirror match yet again. Opponent save switches into Surfetched, and we respond with the Shadow Throw. Last time we played against this team, I had low kick, but now we have Zen Headbutt so we can hit for super effective damage. Throw getting very low, but able to reach the last second Body Slam, and this should KO unless the opponent shields. They will commit a shield on the Surfetched, and now I'm just going to send in Shadow Machamp and go for the one shield farm down. Because my opponent's team, Lickitung Double Fighter, does have a pretty significant weakness, and that is an opposing Shadow Machamp with an energy lead. At this point, I just need to massively overfarm as the Machamp. As long as I overfarm, I should be able to win this game. I am over farming to 12 counters and now going for the cross chop. Cross chop into the Lickitung, will KO. My opponent sends in their own Machamp, and I'm at the back-to-back cross chops here. Cross chop number 1 gets the shield, and we make cross chop number 2. Shadow Machamp, such a devastating closer, getting my opponent low, and that is a good game. All in all, Shadow THROH has a truly dismal selection of fast moves. It's a Pokemon that maybe in the future, if it got a cheaper nuke charge move and way better fast moves, maybe it could have some off-meta play, but in its current set, unfortunately, it is just completely unusable in the Mono-type Cup, as both Zen Headbutt and Low Kick are just awful fast moves. So I definitely encourage you to not build Shadow THROH. Save your Stardust, use it to power up some Pokemon that can actually get wins. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.